Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I'm so excited about my next guest. We got connected, yes, y'all, on Clubhouse. I have Altovise here with me. We have a room that we do on Thursday mornings and Sundays with the Shield of Faith. And so we got connected, being on stages and really just being open about our faith and things that we've experienced. And so I'm really excited to see her today in video and to have a conversation. But before we get into that, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Hey, guys. Hey, Keeping It Real studio audience. Altovise Pelzer here, your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up, but has kept her silent for days. Listen, I'm excited.
I'm so excited to have you here. And I love the thing is unmuted. You know, talk to us about, you know, what really was the catalyst for that, because that so resonates with me and my story of overcoming depression. A lot of that was speaking the voice that I thought people wanted me to speak and just people pleasing, not having any boundaries. I mean, the list can go on and on. So what was it that kind of got you started in terms of that, coming to that realization about being unmuted?
Well, I myself am a victor over molestation, as well as the mother of two amazing young ladies who are victors over molestation. I also did kinship care and have custody of my sister, who is an overcomer of so many things, including being in the foster care system. And so being unmuted has become the process that I've seen not only myself go through, but I've seen them go through. And it was not until 16 it's told her time that I had been molested as a child.
Wow.
It was a free moment, but also it was an enlightening moment, because in that moment I was talking to my daughter, and you know, later on she told me that was her most proud moment. I said, wow, if that is a proud moment, then my story, what can I do for other women?
That's amazing. Now we're having some kind of feedback or something. Can you hear me okay? We're frozen. All right, guys. She knows the technical difficulties of this computer system, internet. Can you hear me okay, Altovise? Okay, we will deal with those technical difficulties momentarily. Okay, can you hear us now?
Froze up a little bit, so.
Yes, that's all good, girl. You know, I was holding it down for you, okay? But we got some of it. It was saying how you were saying how you had a conversation with your daughter, and then it just kind of was going in and out.
Okay, it was going a little long. We know what happens in tech. So I had a conversation with my oldest daughter in 2018, and it was the first time that I told anyone that I was molested as a child. It was later on that my daughter told me that was her most proud moment of me, and it made me think, if that was her most proud moment, then what can that do for women? There's so many women that reach their 70s, their 80s, and even their 90s, never telling a soul that they had been raped, molested, that they had been sex trafficked. I mean, there's so many things. And if there's just one person that's willing to share their story, it opens up the dialogue and the conversation for so many other things.
I love that. And, I feel I had to go through the same thing. For me, I had this mindset about my depression. I struggled with it for 13 years and 3 hospitalizations. And I had to get rid of the victim mentality. There was something that just wasn't me in that story. And I just couldn't figure out how to resolve it, but it wasn't until I decided that I had to have the awareness to admit it, forgive myself, and move on. What was that experience like for you? And, I know you can't speak for people that, you can only tell your story, but what was your story about being able to be in a place to where you can tell your story, that sometimes keeps people still silent?
So one of the things that I often tell women that I work with is we have to get to a point where we own our story. And owning our story will make such an impact on not just how we tell our story, but how we show up in the room. They find it owning their story because
so here's to us.
There's cheers. And there's a fear
the bright line of Skyline Hospitality
that there is not that people won't believe them. And that's from what we've gone through as a nation. World system, when it comes to trauma, when it comes to mental illness, when it comes to domestic violence, when it comes to these things, we've been desensitized in such a way that people feel as though their story no longer is valid. It's not until we own our story that one sharing our story puts us in a position to be able ourselves, but it also allows us to help somebody else.
I love that. And I don't know what is going on with this internet.
It wasn't until I owned that piece of it that I was able to get on the stage and tell women what I've been through. No worries.
Yes, because you know what, it keeps breaking up. But you am I frozen? Yeah. Okay. Here we go, guys. This technical difficulties. So, I so love this conversation because it's about having the courage to speak up, to share your truth, your story, regardless of how painful it can be, regardless of the shame and the story that you've been telling yourself for years that has muted you from being able to be a beacon of light for other people who are victims of the same thing. So this is a very important topic. I can't express this enough. So we are going to see if we can reschedule and pick up this conversation because it is very important. One that definitely warrants complete attention because there's so many people who are out there whether it's depression or molestation, domestic violence, any of these things. Everybody has their own story. Everybody's story may not be the same, but it's so important for there to be a safe space, a space where you can begin to have a healthy dialogue with some real opportunities to move past it in a way that empowers you and is able to help empower other people. So we are so excited to have Altovise join us today, but we are going to reschedule. We are definitely going to get her back on and get some things worked out with the technicalities. But, definitely this is something that we want to make sure everybody can understand, get the value out of, and know that this topic is one that we really need to not take lightly. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Stay on standby, and I will make sure that I keep you posted on the time that we do schedule another interview. I want to thank you guys for watching today. If you have any questions, if this is a topic that really resonates with you, you want me to ask or anything, feel free to put it in the comments, and I definitely will make sure that I get those questions to her so that we can serve you in the best way possible. And I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys supporting me on my journey to be a sounding board for entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur has a different story. Some of us are coaches. Some of us are artists, like I had my guest on earlier. Some of us, we do a number of things. We all come together to make this world a better place and to instill hope in the dream that we have to be better versions of ourselves and to service the clients that we need and helping them to solve their problems, to save time, and to make more money. So I want to thank you guys for watching. She has come back on. We'll see if this take number 2 or 3, y'all, I just love it, but you guys know how it is with me. You never know what to expect. I mean, this is really what my life is like, chaotic, but you just make the best of it. You just keep it moving. So we're going to see if this is working better, if we can hear her. How's the sound now?
Okay, so I can hear you perfectly fine. Are you hearing me okay?
I can hear you now.
Good.
Okay. Are you back on your laptop now?
I am back on the laptop.
Girl, you know what? This is a training session.
Can I just tell y'all something? Listen, podcasters of the world, you understand this, that technology does what it wants to do. It doesn't really care about you or your interview.
So true. So true. And you know what? This is another example about keeping it real, right? Because so many people, when you're like worried about the lighting and all this, and then when something doesn't work, you don't know what to do if you're so used to everything being perfect. But like I said, hey, I feel like I'm in the driver's seat because this happens to me every day of my life. Okay, with the stuff I got going on, y'all forget I got 15 kids. You're on your way out the door, somebody can't find their shoe or sock. I mean, that's just basic right there. Okay. But
yes, indeed.
All right, so we're gonna go back. So hey, guys, y'all probably need to hear this stuff over again. So we're gonna go back to your daughter. Let's just go back to that story. So you opened up about it. Okay, so start from there.
So it was in 2015. It was the first time that I had ever told anyone about being molested as a child. And I was having a conversation with my oldest daughter about trust. It was that moment where I kind of blurted it out. I wish I could have just been able to snatch it out the sky before it reached her ears. But in that moment, she held my hand. We cried. And it was a freeing moment for me. And that was something that I never planned for, simply because we think that if I tell somebody, I'm going to burden them. If I tell my story, then I'm going to be judged. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be ridiculed, or that my story isn't valid and no one will believe me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I held that story for that length of time. And in that one moment, I was able to go ahead and free myself. That
Mm-hmm.
led to me being able to share my story with other women worldwide. That led to me being able to speak and write books and do all these other things. But it was that first time of sharing my story. Scariest moment ever.
Let's call
Mm-hmm.
pasta plates.
But it was later on that my oldest daughter said, you know what? That was her most proud moment of me. So she felt like she wasn't alone.
Wow.
And I said, wow, if that's what I can do, if that's what that moment felt like for her, what would that moment feel like for other women? Now, here's the thing that I always preface this with. I'm an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So my happy place is not on a stage in front of 500 people. My happy place is on my couch
Right.
or in a small group.
Mm-hmm.
That's my happy place. That's where I get my energy. That's where I go 100%, 300% of the time.
Yeah.
But I had to make a transition and say, there's someone who needs this. They need to hear my story. They need to see me present before them. And in seeing me present, it's going to open up a world of opportunities for them. Even if we never even work together, just them seeing me on stage, them hearing me do my podcast, them hearing me speaking live on Clubhouse, they're going to say, wow, that just opened up and broke something loose for me to be able to share my story as well.
I love that. And it sounds so good now. You know what I mean? Because you're on the other side. But what was it, like you said, your thing was on your couch. What happened that made you think, well, I know you had the story from your daughter and understanding that, but what made it like a mission that you just know you got to do it and you really didn't even think about your personality and what you normally thrive in? You know what I'm saying?
So, Lachelle, I love sharing this part of my story because it was the change.
Mm-hmm.
And no, not the change of life, ladies. It wasn't menopause. It wasn't that change. It was a change of mindset. And so after telling my daughter that, about what I had been through and us having that moment, I said, you know what? 2016 is going to be my year. New year, new me, right? How many of you can relate to new year, new me? New year, new me. And I said, 2016 is going to be the year I'm going to publish the first book. I'm going to go ahead and be a speaker. Now, mind you, I'm saying all this as an introvert. I don't know how I thought I was going to get it done, but however, I said I was going to do it. And then December 31st of 2015, I was evicted from my home. I'm pulling everything out to the curb. I'm waiting for someone to bring a U-Haul so I can put all of our stuff into storage and move me and my 4 children into the 2nd bedroom apartment of my sister's, my good girlfriend, I call her my sister, of her apartment. And we split between being in the living room, and then my 3 girls were in the bedroom. Wow. And me and my son were in the living room. And on January 1st, I had a flight already planned. Now, prior to this, I would have said, I'm going to cancel the flight. Oh, woe is me. Nothing ever goes right. I would have had my pity party, and I kind of just would have just thrown it all out the window. But this was the first time that I said, you know what? I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go in spite of what my circumstances look like. I'm going to go in spite of what I've just been through. And first flight, no problem. My layover, there's no group number on my ticket. Now, Lachelle, I am a creative. So in my mind, I got a fake ticket and I'm going to jail. I'm gonna go to jail, and this was the worst decision ever. But I go over to the booth. I let them know, hey, there's no group number on my ticket. They said, oh, no problem. Just go in with group 2. I said, all right, great. They call group 2. I get up. I'm standing in line, and they call my name over the loudspeaker. I'm looking out the window to see if TSA is coming down from a helicopter. Is they riding through the airport? Like, I'm going to jail. Over dramatic is me, okay? I go to the booth, and they hand me a brand new ticket, and it's first class.
Wow.
So I was upgraded to first class while I was homeless.
Amen.
That shifted everything. That was the change for me, because prior to that, my circumstances dictated my next move. My circumstances dictated what I accepted. And in that moment, my circumstances had nothing to do with what God wanted to bless me with.
Amen.
Had nothing to do with it. I completely changed my status quo, my mindset, because the status quo is you homeless. That don't help. That don't happen for people like you. How many of us can relate to, even if somebody didn't say that to us, that's how we felt. Things like that don't happen to people like you. Things like that aren't said or aren't given to people who go through what you go through. And so I owned it.
Wow.
I owned it, because even in being homeless, I still was able to be upgraded to first class. I was still homeless when I published my first book 3 months later.
Wow.
And so we go through this whole process, and it's like, guess what? I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes. Listen, if God know I'm gonna make mistakes, I for sure enough got to go ahead and accept that I'm gonna make mistakes, or that this journey is not going to be a perfect journey. But I own the journey that I'm on.
Amen. I love that. I mean, that is a big aha for a lot of people, because so often we allow our circumstances to dictate our ability to dream or the actions that we take. Nobody even says anything. It's a story that we play for ourselves, And so I love that you were able to rise above that. So for somebody who is in that space right now, it's like she can say that she's got a podcast, she wrote a book, she's got this going on. What would you tell them about, sharing their story or believing in whatever it is they believe in?
Even while I was doing this that first year, for a couple months of it, I was still staying at my sister's. I was still homeless. I went through one of the roughest moments, because I was in the process of getting my sister, and they removed her from my care. So I went through that situation and the trauma of it. And it was crazy, because we think sometimes that when I step into this new life, I step on stage and I go ahead and tell my story, that it means the journey is going to be smooth. And the reality is, and I never want you to think that everything is going to be perfect after you say yes to owning your story.
Amen.
And so once I realized that, I had to be okay with the imperfections. And so a lot of times that's what's holding us back, is the imperfections. We think, I can't, she's connected with people worldwide. Yes. And guess what? Still imperfect.
So true.
Still imperfect. And so don't think that you have to be at a certain level. Don't
Mm-hmm.
think that you have to have a certain sound. You don't have to be Lisa Nichols because Lisa Nichols is Lisa Nichols. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be Cheryl Wood because Cheryl Wood is Cheryl Wood. You have to be authentically you. And
I
there is
love that.
someone who is waiting for the authenticity that you bring to the stage, to the book, to Clubhouse, to live stream, to Instagram, wherever you are going to show up. There's somebody waiting for your authenticity
Mm-hmm.
because your story is going to resonate with them. Your voice is going to be the one that snaps them out of whatever they're going through and allows them to push through.
So true. So true. And I love that because I think that we feel like the things that help us to dream and to move forward once we tell our story also can be the double-edged sword to stop us because we begin with this comparison. It's like, okay, well, we got Lisa Nichols. Well, Lisa Nichols has been telling her story for I don't know how long. We just getting started. So we thinking, hey, we on her level. You know what I'm saying? So how do you keep yourself grounded with that? You know what I'm saying? How do you keep it where we just maintain what we can, what works for us? How do you do that?
For one, I have a mentor. So having some accountability is
Mm-hmm.
so valuable. And real accountability. Accountability
Mm-hmm.
gives us a 95% chance of success.
Amen.
The thing that comes in is we need to have the accountability that's going to give us the space to kind of feel things out sometimes, but also they're going to push us off the cliff when we need it. They're not going to baby us.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be the person that always gives you the woo woo woos because we
Mm-hmm.
can't always go by that.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that accountability is valuable because I can go to my accountability partner, I can go to my mentor and say, all right, I'm really not feeling this right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is, things are not going right. And this is why. And I need a moment. And so this is the thing. Accountability is going to be the difference between somebody telling you, oh, you're doing great. Oh, yeah, keep going. And somebody telling you, stop. You may need to seek counseling. True accountability is not, they love you.
Mm-hmm.
But they not worried about your feelings all the time. They worried about your success.
Amen.
And that was one of the most valuable things that I invested in. That was one of the most valuable things, even to this day, that I have, is that accountability.
Love that.
And without it, trust and believe, I would stay on my couch.
So true. I think that is just the truth because I think so oftentimes people, they see your highlight reel, but don't realize the hours that go behind the highlight reel. You see what I'm saying? It's like you seeing the results of the practice that's been going on. You see the 5 minutes of glory and don't know the story. You know what I mean? So I so get that. I think that is amazing. And accountability, I think also, the whole thing that people think that it's all smooth, it's all, positive. You wake up with a smile, you go to sleep with a smile, and there's nothing in between. You know what I mean? And I think that's so good that you bring that up because I think a lot of times people don't realize that it comes with highs and lows. I mean, you could be a new mom and you're finding out you're pregnant, but then you got morning sickness. Then you got crazy deliveries. You know what I'm saying? Or, it's not that it's without the highs and lows that comes. And the pain and all that is part of it. I mean, so I think sometimes we get more into the fantasy rather than the reality of
Come
what's going on.
on.
Yeah.
Mm. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Mhm. So this is really profound that you were able to share. How did things move forward with you finding out about your daughters and their story as a result of you sharing yours?
So I found out about theirs actually before I shared about mine.
Oh, okay.
Because they were molested. They were young, 3 and 5.
Wow.
And at the time when I actually said something, they were in middle school.
Wow.
It had taken us to that point. And so this is one of the things that I have to always put this in here because I had to go through this process to know
Mhm.
what it is that the women that I work with go through. When
Mhm.
I'm working with women that have gone through sex trafficking and domestic violence and things of that nature and teen pregnancy and all of these things, there is a level of burden that they've put on themselves in carrying it
Mhm.
for so long and not really sharing it and thinking that it was um, their Achilles heel,
Mhm.
thinking that it was supposed to be a stumbling block and it can be a springboard, and they don't understand that shift, how to make that
Mhm.
shift. And
Mhm.
so that was one of the things, me being able to share with them and get them into the mindset of being able to make that shift. But for
Mhm.
me, I didn't make that shift. I didn't tell anybody what I had been through. And
Mm.
I had gone to counseling for my kids. I had gone and moved 2 states away to make sure that, try to give them a better life and, done all these things for them, but I hadn't done anything for myself. And as
Mm.
mothers, as women, that is often the story we live, is that we
Amen.
are the fighter, we are the encourager, we are the supporter for everyone else, but we are not on our list.
Mhm.
We're not on our list, or we're at the very bottom,
The very bottom.
the very bottom.
Mhm.
And then we struggle because we don't know how to fix that.
Right.
We don't know how to change that.
Mhm.
And we go through and now there's an animosity, there's a jealousy, there's an anger that we have towards the people we've supported because we didn't even know how to tell them that we wanted support back.
Right. I love that. That's so true.
We didn't know how to tell them that. We
Mhm.
kind of expected it. We
Right.
thought it was going to be like I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And it wasn't
Mhm.
like that. People will take what you give them
Mhm.
without thinking they have to give something in return.
So true. I love that you said that because then, what also comes to mind is an aha I had for myself. It was like, as a mom, I was believing I was doing all these things out of love, right? So it's like, oh, my kids are first, and I'm doing this for them and for this family. But that wasn't how it was received, because whatever you sow, that you will reap. So all the time that we are distracted with trying to outwardly do things, and I mean, this is just my story. We're outwardly doing things, expecting it to come back in return, but we're not planting those seeds when we put them out there. And then wondering why, we got all these apple seeds we done planted and wondering why we don't have any oranges. You see what
Come
I'm saying?
on. We ain't putting no name on the seed. We just throwing it
Nothing.
out there like it's bird seed. We just throwing it. Just
Exactly.
throwing it. And we've not put the care into it, the real care into it.
So
But
true.
but that's not a conversation that we've been able to have as mothers.
So true.
As mothers, there has been, and I say this because at 41, I'm the matriarch of my family. Grandmother, mother, grandmother, and great grandmother all are gone.
Wow.
And so what other people may have had with Big Mama and all of this, and passing down stories and all that, I didn't have all of that. And so it's the stories that I'm passing along. One of the things that we often talk about is we talk about how the grave is the richest place in the world. Well, guess what? It's the richest place in the world because our grandparents and our parents, we didn't ask the right questions.
So
we didn't
true.
have them put things in books. We didn't have them write things down. Even simple things like recipes, even simple things like stories that happened in our bloodline. We did not have them write these things down. And so it went to the grave. And so it's up to us to say, enough is enough. I'm not going to allow future generations to go through what I had to go through. And that was a push for me to write the books that I've written and be a part of the projects I've been a part of, because enough is enough. We need to have the discussions. We need to put this information out there, and we need to break the system of what happens in this house stays in this house.
I love that. Yeah, the thing about it that really gets me is we know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. But how often are we doing this with a lot of these limiting beliefs, self-fulfilling prophecies is what I call it, because we just tell our kids what we were told and it just keeps on going when we know the results are not working. I'm just like, so I totally get that. That's amazing. So you now have memberships, and tell us all the things that you offer to help women.
So I have been able to author and co-author a total of 19 best-selling books, international best-selling books. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm like, as many books as I can put out, the information that is on the inside of me is valuable, and I'm going to put it out there. So many more to come. I was able to start the podcast, the hashtag Speakeasy podcast, and interview CEOs that are 6 and 7 figure CEOs from all over the world. I've been able to speak on stages, but the most valuable thing that I've seen and that touches my heart and stays close to my heart is the membership, the accountability membership that I created for women in business. And it's because women we've been told that we had to wear these masks. And that we had to say everything was okay. That's even our go-to response. I'm fine. I'm okay. And even when we're not. And so I created this atmosphere for women to be able to tell each other, I'm not okay. In business or in life, I need prayer. I'm doing this in business and I'm not seeing any success. I don't understand, what's going on with this. And so I made this atmosphere because I saw so many women who were becoming members in different communities, and then they weren't accomplishing anything. I saw women who were putting out thousands and thousands of dollars and had nothing to show for it. And so I said, enough was enough. We had to break that and say, okay, no, we need to come together. If it ain't working, say it ain't working. Look at what you're doing in the week and really say, am I moving forward in my business, or am I just doing stuff to do stuff? Because we've become when we think about e-commerce and we think about speakers and authors and all, a lot of people are doing stuff just to be able to say, I'm doing something, but they're not moving the needle forward. They're not making an impact. And so we got to get back to the point where we're saying, okay, am I making an impact with what I'm doing? Am I seeing lives change? If I'm not, I need to make some changes. And so they have this community. They come together. They have master classes in there. They have We have a weekly accountability call on Saturday mornings. They get leadership development training, and all of these things are literally what I saw was missing in the entrepreneurial space for women in business. And there are women in there who are making six figures in their business already. There are women in there who are just getting started, but it's still that we have that space to be able to come and say, I'm not okay.
Amen.
And I may need some help. And I've had to be able to tell them, hey, we may need counseling. You may need this, and be able to provide them with with that connection, or support them in them taking a break. One of the biggest things has been, and I've had clients who came back and thanked me for this, is when it's time to take a break, take a break. Because either you're going to sit down or your body going to lay you down. Now, you don't want the latter to happen.
So true. So true.
So I've been known to tell them, take a week off. You just dealt with a loss in your family. Take a week off. You just dealt with something not going right in your business. Take some time, take a day or two, reevaluate some things, and come back fresh. The problem comes in is we don't have that accountability, and we go ahead and take the time off, and now we don't have the momentum to get started again.
Right.
And so they know I'm gonna tell them they can take the time off. Oh, but you're gonna get back at it.
Amen. I love that, because I think that is, that's also about being able to have harmony. I don't like the word balance, but it's about harmony, because you are going to have those moments. It's so funny now that I say I will text my kids' teachers and be like, look, my kids are going in late today. And the kids, I tell them, look, nobody's sick. We're having a mental health day. Okay. And so now, they are open to this discussion, because you just can't keep on without any restoration. It's just something you got to do. So I love that you say that. So this has just been a great, great, great interview. Some great nuggets and insights. And, you just have to come back and share some more, because I just love the fact of, I just encourage people to take notes, to write some of these ahas, because it's one of those things that sometimes you have to go back and listen to again, because of the knowledge is, sometimes we can get so caught up of being on autopilot. People say things, and then, it just doesn't resonate the first time. You hear it the second time, you're like, wait a minute, So I love a lot of the nuggets that you shared, and I just think it's awesome. So what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
So I would love for them to come and connect with me on Instagram. I am Altovise, unmuted, on Instagram. Send me a DM and let me know that you heard me on Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. And I want to know how this episode resonated with you. I know we had some tech issues in the beginning, but guys, listen, sometimes this is a testament to what the journey looks like.
Amen.
You got to push through. You got to push through. And if you don't push through, guess what? You'll never know what you can actually gain. What is actually there for you, the opportunities, the open doors, the conversations. And so literally, thank you for those of you who pushed through with us during this episode today. Because guess what? I was going to make sure I gave y'all every bit of information. Listen, if I had to call Lachelle on her cell phone, y'all was
so
going
true. And I was thinking the same thing, because I was like, well, shoot, I got my phone, I can do Instagram, but look, I've got this thing going on. I was in another room. I don't know if you could see, but my phone is in grayscale. Okay, it's black and white. And so what happened was, we were talking about how, we love Clubhouse. Somebody got on there and they were like, I love it, but I'm not getting anything done because I'm on Clubhouse. So they're having this issue where they feel like they're not as productive. And so we were talking about grayscale. So what happens with grayscale is it makes everything black and white. All your apps. Girl, I haven't even wanted to be on my phone today. I am like not even thinking about it. It's not engaging or anything. So this morning, I have this room that I do Monday through Friday. So I have this morning room that I do before my own club room. So I'm in the morning room and I have this notification that comes up because it's set for my alarm to go to my own room. It says like 30 minutes, you got to go to your room. Well, I'm not looking at the phone because normally I would be looking at the phone, looking at the people. The notification came up, girl, I didn't see it. I happened to get a text message. So my text message came up and said, where's the room at? It was like 15 minutes after we normally have our room. So somebody else started the room. I got in there. I was like, you guys, I'm so sorry. You know, I have my notifications on, got my stuff, but not looking at the phone, y'all. Don't want to see the phone because of the grayscale. So it works.
It works too good, huh?
Too good. So I was like, oh, if I have to get on Instagram with her, that's not going to work because I can't look at the Instagram with the grayscale. And every time I'm thinking about maybe I should just change this back, I'm thinking, no, I'm going to try to do this for a week because I want to see how it does. But see, one of the things that I would say that's been a blessing for me is that I still have the balance. I still do my podcast. Even though Clubhouse has been great, I have still kept this melting pot somewhat, so to speak, of all the different things that I do. So it really has not really affected me the way some people have, you know, because I feel
exactly.
You have to keep doing stuff. You can't just be putting all your eggs in the Clubhouse.
You sure
Girl,
can.
they changing stuff left and right on Clubhouse, right?
Look, we see all the changes that then happened over on Facebook. And you know, Facebook used to be our favorite playground. You could go and connect with people and get all these clients and all of this. And Facebook is just not that anymore. And it's like, nope, you have to, when we decide that we're going to be an entrepreneur, becoming an entrepreneur means being flexible.
So true.
I gotta be flexible. I can't get comfortable with just being on one platform, but I don't need to spread myself thin and be everywhere. But I can't get comfortable with just being on one platform. When things shift, I need to shift. Let's listen, we could take it back. And this, I'm just realizing that I'm about to say this is old school, but it really is. Who moved my cheese? It's old school, but that's the reality of it.
So
at some point, the cheese gets moved. Now, are you going to keep going to the same spot and starve?
Exactly.
Starve your business, starve your family. They say they say scared entrepreneurs got skinny kids. we can't have
that is so true, girl. That is so true.
So you gotta have that understanding that, okay, at some point the cheese moves. It's going to move, guys. It's not going to stay the same. There is nothing that has been the same. So how many of y'all remember the first cell phone?
Right.
How many of you remember pagers? Right? Everything evolves. How many of you remember pagers before that?
Right.
Before that, we had payphones. Listen, I live in a small town. We got one little payphone at the local Walmart. And I die laughing every time I see it. Because to think, those were everywhere.
Everywhere.
They were everywhere. You could get a payphone on just the street, random street corner would have payphones, guys.
So true.
Everything evolves. Things change. And so we have to have that flexibility to say, I'm either going to do one of two things. I'm either going to pay someone to teach me how to do something new, teach me how to do it, teach me how to do it, or I'm going to pay somebody to do it.
So true.
That's it.
I love that because that's what people miss, you know. And it's all about monetizing these things,
Yeah.
So often we're caught up in the free stuff, but free can only get you so far.
Come on. You only
Okay.
gonna get so full on them free samples at the mall. Come on.
I'm just saying, it's not going to fill you up. It's not a
I don't care
meal.
how many times you go past. You ain't getting
Exactly.
no rice with it. You ain't getting no veggies. All you getting is a couple pieces of meat. You're not gonna get full off of that.
So true. Yeah. So I think that's the whole thing that people just need to, it's a starter package.
Exactly.
It's not designed to be the meal. It's the starter package for you to taste it, see how you're going to incorporate it in your meal planning or whatever. But then you're going to have to invest. Okay. It just is what it is. So I love that. This has just been great. Some great nuggets here. So, what final words would you like to share with everybody?
Sometimes you got to take the leap.
Mhm.
Do not. How can I say this? Don't compare your leap to somebody else's. We all have to take that leap. We all have to take,
Mhm.
and you're going to take leaps up until you can't take leaps anymore, okay? But do not compare the leap you take today to the leap that somebody else took yesterday. It's not going to be the same. It's not
That's
going to be the same.
Love that. That is so true. That is so true. Because you don't know where they leap from.
Come on. Or where
You
they
don't know where
do.
they leaping to. Okay. So
You
that's
mess
some good
around, they
stuff.
done leaped into the bayou and got to deal with alligators or crocodiles or
You see
whichever
what
one
I'm
is in that
saying?
water.
You see what I'm saying? That is so true. That is so true. Yeah.
Don't compare. Don't compare your leap to somebody else's. Just
Yes.
know that you do have to leap, but don't
Mm-hmm.
compare your leap to somebody else's.
Love that. That is a wise word. I love that. Well, this has just been wonderful. We want to thank you guys so much for watching us today. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We will definitely be sure that Altovise gets them and gets those answered for you. But in the meantime, if her message resonated with you, go ahead and reach out on Instagram and have that conversation, because this is how things change. We make these connections every day on Clubhouse, and people are like, what is Clubhouse? I don't know nothing about it. It's where you can have real conversation with people that start getting your life in order. That's what it's about. So have a conversation. This is the time that you want to do things, because tomorrow's not promised. Let's stop being our own worst enemy and telling ourselves these stories that aren't going to help us move forward in life. So Altovise, we just thank you so much for sharing those nuggets today. I'm going to be going back watching the rerun and taking them notes, okay? Because I'm like, that's one of the things. See, I used to do these audio podcasts, and girl, I'd have my book, look, tons of notes, right? And when I'm doing the video, it's like, okay, let me keep eye contact. Girl, I'll be over here wanting to write down some stuff. So this is good.
I do the same thing. And I'll be taking notes and I'll be like, oh, that was good.
That's some good stuff, girl. Some good stuff. And so this has just been so much fun. But we just want to thank everybody for watching us today. And we will see y'all on the next episode. Bye for now.